really do this too often.
Swinging a high fly ball. You can forget it! There is career home run number 100 for Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Stripling has been a huge boost for this team.
He's been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball at throwing strike.
Lined into right field, down for a base hit. Bradley's in to score 3-0 Toronto. Springer going back, now the wall, leaps in the air, makes the catch! Swing and a miss. Jimmy Garcia strikes out the side of the 8th.
An outstanding performance tonight. And they are now a game and a half ahead of the Tampa Bay Rays.
Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 9 for Kevin Gausman.
And you got to figure that he's ready for this game. Blue Jays needing another win.
How you gon' feel when
This series with Tampa Bay draws to a close today on a beautiful, crisp afternoon in Toronto. Baseball celebrates the life of Roberto Clemente. So nominees for the Clemente Award, past winners, and any player born in Puerto Rico has the option, if they choose, to wear number 21 today, and I believe Bo Bichette will be. So something to look out for as we celebrate a great ball player, but maybe more importantly, an even better human being, the late Roberto Clemente. And what a day it is to celebrate this great game in a stadium like this on a day like this. Joe Siddall is here, roof is open, and what a pitching matchup today as Shane McClanahan comes off the IL for Tampa Bay and Kevin Gausman spins for the Blue Jays. Let's take a look at this series. The Blue Jays have taken 3 of the 4 in this 5-game series, as you know. I want you to focus on 2 categories here. RISP, the runners in scoring position, highly favors the Blue Jays on the right, as you can see, and so too does the bullpen ERA, considering that the Blue Jays scored comeback victories in games 1 and games 3 of this series by getting to Tampa Bay's bullpen. So where the wild card is concerned, Tampa Bay cannot leave here without being behind the Blue Jays still in the standings. There's where it lies right now, with the Blue Jays holding the top spot as we speak, but the schedule gets more and more difficult, it seems, as we go. The meeting on the mound, as mentioned, Kevin Gausman for the Blue Jays. He gave up 5 earned runs last time out in Texas, still managed to win because the Blue Jays scored 11 times. And Shane McClanahan coming off the IL with left shoulder impingement. You might recall him warming up in the bullpen in late August in Miami and feeling something. And he was quite distraught. He had to call it a day, but this is a guy, when he's on, has the best swing and miss rate in the American League. Now let's take a look at the lineup, and this is interesting too. A development today sees Moreno catching, and we haven't seen him in the big league since he was last here. He hasn't even played a game of any kind in about 10 days, so he's going to be behind the plate today, catching Kevin Gausman. And speaking of catchers, Joe has a wide range of experience in this particular vocation. So let's talk about this. John Schneider, the manager of the Blue Jays, said among other reasons why Moreno's in there is that Gausman, of the starters, is the easiest to catch. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd ever use the word easiest, because nothing's easy back there, especially for a young catcher catching a veteran pitcher. But Kevin Gausman's essentially a 2-pitch pitcher. He's fastball generally up in the zone, splitter down in the zone. He will mix in the slider, but it does simplify things for a young catcher. Now, they're using the technology now, the PitchCom, to call the game, so it can make it a little bit easier. Moreno does have a little experience with Gausman this season, but the other thing is Gausman's not one of the best in baseball at holding runners on, and with the arm strength of Moreno behind the plate, maybe that can slow the Rays' running game. And yes, I'm talking about Randy Arozarena, who stole his 30th base the other night against the Blue Jays. Maybe it even prevents them from trying when you have the strong-armed Moreno behind the dish. This would be a case maybe of a veteran pitcher on the mound helping along a young catcher, and they can work that way. And unfortunately, that's where the Blue Jays are at this point in the season with the injury to Kirk, or that his hip is giving him issues right now. But this is again, where a veteran pitcher like Gausman simplified, because it's really 2 pitches. It's not like Stripling out there with 4 different pitches. Now, he's a pretty cerebral guy that can call his own game, but that's where I think the word easier comes from Schneider's mouth, and that's where Moreno will handle the veteran Gausman this afternoon.
Schneider's managerial manipulations this series have been quite savvy, so we'll see if that continues today in the final game of this series.
Get it, go.
And he cranks it to left field. And there is career home run number 100.
Oh my! Number 100 for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Circuit, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
And that was a moonshot, a milestone home run for Vladdy.
100e en carrière pour Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Get it, go. Get it, go.
Number 100 was an atypical Vladdy home run, not your usual laser beam. He becomes the 3rd youngest in American League history to get to 100. Tony Conigliaro was the youngest. What a fascinating story. I highly recommend reading up on his life and career. An injury based on a fastball that ended up in his temple ended his season 1967 and for the most part his career. What a day we have for baseball. So good to see Hazel May and Shai Davidi down at field level. Hazel.
Jamie and Joe, hi once again here from field level. You saw Vladimir Guerrero Jr. stats there. He's also at 23 years and 182 days, the 7th youngest player to reach 100 home runs and 100 doubles. And here's another stat for you. He's currently on an 8-game hitting streak. And Shai Davidi, you see a bit of a pattern as far as how the opposing pitchers are attacking Guerrero.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers all season long, Hazel, they've been just trying to pound him down. The reason for that, his swing is a bit level. It's really effective against pitches up in the zone. And what he's had to do is, over the last week or so, is just show, hey, guys, I can do damage on these pitches down. Now, talking to hitting coach Guillermo Martinez, he said that's a bit of an adjustment for him, making sure that he's staying inside out with his swing as opposed to trying to get above the ball when the fastball is up in the zone. It's been a focal point of their work, certainly starting to see some results. And that home run for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Bit of a long time coming, first since August 30th, just a second in the past 26 games.
And if he didn't know it, he was certainly reminded of it. The clubhouse guys would tease him every day. Hey, you're still at 99. When are you going to hit 100? Guerrero said he was feeling a bit anxious to get to 100, but now that it's in the rearview mirror, he feels great and relieved was his word. You saw the starting lineup. You saw Gabby Moreno will be behind the plate. We heard from John Schneider, Shai, who told us that Alejandro Kirk has been dealing with tightness in his left hip. How do things look for Kirk?
Well, Hazel, this is something that he's been dealing with a little bit, and everyone's going to point to that run to home, first to home the other day, and perhaps that may be exacerbated, but that is not the cause of it. It's really, I think, tied to workload. We've seen the Blue Jays really increase his work behind the plate as the games have gotten a bit more important. During the 10-game road trip, he caught 3 games in a row for the first time this season. There have been more frequent back-to-backs for him behind the plate, something the Blue Jays were avoiding a little bit early. So perhaps some of that is catching up with him a little bit. And the Blue Jays are going to get him off his feet a little bit, see if that gives him some time to recover. And they're expecting right now that it's not going to be a major issue, but this time of year, with someone dealing with a heavier workload than in years past, you never know.
All right, we will keep our eye on that situation. And on this 21st annual Roberto Clemente Day, Jamie and George, I'll sit down with the native of Bayamon, Puerto Rico, Jose Barrios. Stick around.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hazel. We look forward to that. Here's how John Schneider prepares to manage a major league game.
Take that.